Alright guys, so this is my first video on this channel, and I'm just going to be going over some of the project I've already started and that you will see in the future on the channel. So first we have this Troy-Bilt Bronco that I got when my great uncle passed away because nobody else in the family needed it. And I'm just going to go over some of the things I've done to it since I've had it. So let's just start with what it is. It's a Troy-Bilt Bronco, automatic transmission, not hydrostatic, automatic, with 42-inch deck and a 20 horse Kohler Courage single cylinder engine. So starting at the front, I've painted the headlight lenses gray because I don't use the headlights, and it looks better because they were dirty and worn out and stuff, so it just looks better painted. And then I added this bumper with that eye hook on there, so that hook makes a good toe point and the bumper just looks cool anyway. But I've replaced the head gasket, and I just went ahead and did a kit. So it had the valve cover gasket, carburetor gasket, header gasket for the exhaust, and all that stuff that came with it. And that's about all I've done mechanically to it. As you can see right there, I've got the starter out of it because it's bad, and I'll tell you more about that in the next video that I'm working on this mower. But the starter is bad. Other than that, that's about all I've done to this mower since I've had it. It ran when I got it, but it doesn't run now. Like I said, the starter's bad, but overall it's a pretty good unit. Oh, and I did put new blades on it. That is one thing I did. But other than that, that's it. I did put a wheel spinner on this because it's pretty hard to steer. This one's name is Leroy Troy. Get it? Troy because it's a Troy-Bilt, and Leroy because it rhymes with Troy. Next up is this John Deere D130 that has been converted to spray weed killer. So this is a pretty stock John Deere lawnmower. It's got a 22 horse Briggs & Stratton V-twin. Okay, and when I first started working on it, it was in my grandparents' backyard and it hadn't been running in a while. And me and my dad worked on it a couple days and got the carburetor cleaned out, and then it started running, and we were going to use it for mowing, and I put new blades on it and stuff and was mowing one day, and the deck was so rusted that the spindle pulled through the bottom of the deck, so now the deck was toast. So we just decided to pull the deck out from under it, and we hooked it up with the sprayer because it'll make it a lot easier for spraying and just drive around, not have to walk and carry any weed kill. So that brings me to the sprayer. So my grandpa already had this sprayer, the tank and the pump and all that stuff, but I built this rack back here and this piece of angle iron on each side, and then a piece of flat stock across the back connecting them. These two pieces of 1/2 inch square stock for supports, and I've got that piece of angle iron down there to hold those. And then got this metal shelving material right here that the sprayer actually sets on, and it's just held on with the good old ratchet strap. So that's about it. It's pretty simple. And the pump goes in to these wires right here. I've got these ran up here across the body up into the engine compartment, and the positive and negative just have alligator clips, and they're clipped onto the battery. Correction, the alligator clips, like you clip them onto the battery when you're ready to spray, then when you want the pump to shut off, you unplug them, and then the pump won't run anymore. So now for this, You may be thinking, why is the throttle cable just running across the top of the engine? Well, I was having issues with the governor, and I don't know how they work or anything, so I couldn't, troubleshoot it or try to fix it or anything. So I just ran the throttle cable from the dash right here just straight to the carburetor and bypassed the governor altogether. The only problem with that is this model of mower had the choke was, you see right here, you push the throttle all the way up and it turns the choke on. Now that doesn't work, so you just got to reach down here on the carburetor and manually choke it right there. You can hear it. I don't know if you can hear it on camera, but I can hear the choke closing off in there, and it runs good. Alright, let's try a cold start. Got my camera set up over there. I know this won't be the best view. The lighting's not very good with this light right above me, but I've got to do like I said earlier, and reach down under here and manually choke it to see if it'll start this way. Almost did. Let's try it again. I know that last shot was pretty bad, so I'm going to go ahead and fire it back up for you. Idle's kind of rough, but once you have it, especially when it's cold, but once you have it running for a while, it'll smooth out. Alright, so this V-twin ain't the smoothest running engine I've ever seen, but it runs and it moves the mower around. It moves it pretty good. So that's good enough for what we use it for, which is spraying ditches with weed killer. This mower doesn't have a name yet, but I need you guys to send some suggestions in the comments. But I think it needs to be something that kind of rhymes with sprayer or spray, because it's got to sound cool, like blank the sprayer mower or something like that. I don't know, you guys send some suggestions. I don't have any ideas really. So it's getting dark outside, and everything else I was going to show you in this video is outside, so I will come back in the morning or afternoon or sometime tomorrow whenever I get a chance and continue this video. Alright, it's the next morning, it's daylight, and we're going to continue the tour. Alright, so first up in this shed says Polaris Ranger, and it doesn't run. My dad has replaced the fuel pump, I think the coils for the spark plugs and the plugs, 2 or 3 sensors, and it still won't run. No idea what's going on with that. This Honda 4-wheeler right here runs great, but the shifter doesn't work and it's having like this out of adjustment or something, so we got to get that adjusted right. Show you right here, this thing, no choke, cold start right here. Fire right up. Well, maybe. There we go. Runs great, just won't go into gear. This zero turn here doesn't run, the engine's bad. We've got this other V-twin that we're going to swap into it. Took it off another mower, and I'll show you that later in the tour. But need to get that motor swap done, that'll be on the channel. This is my uncle's Suzuki 4-wheeler, and it runs great, doesn't have any issues. Go ahead and do a cold start on this 4-wheeler. And the battery's dead, so we won't be doing a cold start. Over here in this shed, we have a John Deere that my grandpa got from his aunt, and me and him replaced a couple of steering parts, and it ran great, so that's what we're using to mow since the zero turn took out on us. But now my dad came out here the other day and it wouldn't start, and I haven't even looked at it yet, so that'll end up being on the channel at some point. And it needs a hood that's broke off, but those are expensive, so we don't have one. Alright, so I've got the Honda out here. I'm going to use it to jump the battery on the Suzuki. Get these jumper cables hooked up on this side. I'm going to need two hands for this, so I'm going to turn the camera off. Alright, got those hooked up. Now we're ready to try to start it. Go ahead and start this one up so we don't drain the battery too bad. Now let's see if we got enough juice to start this one. There we go. Fired up real easy once I had power to the battery. Got the seat back on, and I forgot to mention this, it won't go forward but it will go into reverse, so I'll back it back into the shed here, and then we can drive this one over to the other place where I have a couple more mowers. And of course we can't turn sharp enough, so I'm going to have to roll it back forward. Now we should be able to back it in. Now I'm going to head on over and show you those other two mowers. Right here, this is basically a parts mower now. It's John Deere that I took the motor off of that we're going to put on the zero turn. It's pretty good. It was a good running engine. The gas tank had a hole in it, so couldn't ever really run it very much. So this is a good one to take the motor off of, because the gas tank's bad and the steering's bad and all that stuff. So it's a good donor mower. This is the deck that came off the sprayer mower, and I'll show you. I don't know if you can see it real good with all these leaves in here, but right there, the bolts that hold the spindle in pulled out the bottom of the deck. So this, you can't really tell on camera, but you'll just have to believe me. The spindle's basically just falling out of the deck. And this is the deck to this Husqvarna right here, which has a Briggs & Stratton V-twin as well. But this engine, this mower, sat outside for 6 or 7 years without a hood on it. And you see all this plastic and stuff's all cracked up. Or off, basically. And this motor is basically junk. I did get it running, but it did not run good at all. So we just pulled it back over here in what I call the boneyard. And this is where she sits. Let's get back up to the house. Hopefully this has enough juice to start.
Oh yeah, real easy.
This is a Honda Metropolitan. It's basically like a knockoff of a Vespa scooter, but it also doesn't run. So that's another project that we might need to get around to eventually.